Imagine this. You've been spending time with her, connecting, enjoying the moments, but suddenly, something changes. She starts pulling away. What went wrong? Why? Does it feel like the whole vibe shifted? Well, if you've ever wondered how a woman reacts when she realizes you've lost interest, trust me, you're not the only one. This is more than just a feeling. It's psychology at play. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. And today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of female psychology. You'll want to stick around till the end because some of these insights might just blow your mind. Let's music. Go. Point 1. Emotional withdrawal. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, her first reaction is often emotional withdrawal. This is an instinctive coping mechanism, a way of protecting herself from potential hurt. She might stop opening up, sharing her thoughts, or expressing affection as she once did. Essentially, she pulls back emotionally to avoid investing further in something she feels may not be reciprocated. For example, let's say you were once the guy who would text her throughout the day, make plans for weekends, and share little details of your life. At some point, she notices you've stopped putting in as much effort. Maybe you don't reply as quickly, and when you do, it's often with short, uninterested responses. She feels the shift and starts to emotionally withdraw. At first, she may try to fill the gap by texting more or being extra thoughtful, but if your lack of interest continues, she'll start to emotionally disconnect. This can look like her becoming less affectionate or not initiating conversations anymore. She might stop texting you first, or give you distant responses like, "I'm fine," when you ask how her day was. The energy she once put into the relationship now fades, as she's trying to protect herself from further emotional disappointment. From a psychological standpoint, emotional withdrawal is a self-preservation strategy. When someone senses that the relationship they've been investing in is no longer being valued, their mind begins to shield their emotions to avoid further hurt. If a woman feels her emotional investment isn't being returned, her instinct is to reduce vulnerability instead of giving more. She starts holding back, whether consciously or subconsciously. This can be frustrating for men because it's not always easy to recognize the shift in behavior. You might not notice she's pulling away until it's already happening. But from her perspective, this emotional withdrawal is a direct result of feeling unwanted or ignored. Why it happens? Protecting her heart. She doesn't want to keep pouring into someone who isn't giving her the same level of attention or care. Fear of rejection. The more she invests emotionally, the more vulnerable she feels to being rejected or hurt. Preserving dignity. If she feels your interest is waning, she may choose to pull back rather than face potential rejection. When a woman starts emotionally withdrawing, it's a clear signal that something has shifted. If you care about her, you need to be aware of these signs and consider whether your actions or inactions may be the cause. The longer this withdrawal goes unaddressed, the harder it becomes to reconnect. It's a crucial moment for you to either step up and show interest or risk losing the emotional connection entirely. Pause. Have you ever found yourself chasing someone who was no longer interested? It's like trying to catch a fish that already swam away. Let's be real, it's frustrating. Now, this emotional withdrawal is just the start. What happens next might surprise you, and trust me, you won't see this one coming. Point 2. The subtle power struggle. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the next phases she may enter is a subtle power struggle. This is a psychological response to the shift in dynamics in their relationship. It's her way of testing the waters to see if the relationship can be salvaged or if you are completely checked out. The reason it's subtle is that she won't necessarily do this overtly or aggressively, but she'll introduce small challenges to see how you react. This phase is about regaining some control and figuring out whether you still care enough to fight for the connection. Example: imagine you've been dating a woman for a while and she starts noticing that you're not as present or engaged as you once were. In response, she may initiate a situation that tests your level of interest. For example, she might make a casual comment about spending time with her friends instead of you, or she might, purposely, take longer to reply to your texts. She wants to see if you will start to chase her, or if you'll just accept the shift without putting in effort, to reignite the connection. It could also look like her pulling away even more, to see how long it will take for you to step up. For instance, if she cancels plans at the last minute or becomes more distant, she's waiting for you to take charge and reassert your desire to be with her. If you don't take the bait, she might escalate the situation by being even more distant or disengaged to see if you'll try harder to rekindle the spark. Psychological insight: at this stage, the woman is still emotionally invested, but she's testing your level of interest. She may not be consciously aware of it, but on a deeper level, she's trying to understand whether your initial attraction was genuine or if you've moved on. The power struggle is less about manipulation and more about needing reassurance. She's looking for a sign that you're still willing to put in the effort to win her back, or that you still find her valuable. Why it happens: self-validation. She wants to know if you still find her attractive and worth the effort. It's a way to test if their relationship can still be salvaged. Fear of being replaced. If she senses that you're losing interest, she may test you to ensure she isn't easily replaced or forgotten. Reestablishing control. Women often have a subconscious desire to feel that they still hold some influence in a relationship. By testing your reactions, she can gauge whether she still has control over the dynamic between you two. What you should watch for: when you notice subtle changes in her behavior, like pulling away, playing hard to get, or showing signs of indifference, it's a signal that she's testing the waters. If you don't respond to these subtle tests, she might escalate the challenge, making it harder for you to reestablish the connection. Alternatively, if you do respond by showing more interest, she'll test you further, seeing if your actions align with your words. Pause. Have you ever tried to play it cool thinking, "Oh, I'll just stay instant and see what happens"? Newsflash: it might not go the way you think. So, when she tests you and you don't react in the way she hopes, guess what this is? Where the emotional roller coaster intensifies and things can escalate fast. Are you ready for the next phase? Hold on tight, seeing if your actions align with your words. Point 3. Indifference or silent treatment. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the most painful and powerful reactions she might have is to respond with indifference or the silent treatment. This behavior typically emerges after she has processed the emotional withdrawal and subtle power struggle. It's her way of coping with the situation by shutting down and emotionally detaching from you. This stage is particularly hard to deal with because it's not just that she's pulling away, she's actively choosing not to engage with you in any meaningful way. Example: let's say you've been in a relationship for a while, but you've stopped showing the same enthusiasm and care. You've become less communicative and emotionally distant, and over time she notices she may initially try to get your attention by texting or making an effort to talk. But after a while, she realizes you're not responding with the same investment. Eventually, she stops reaching out altogether. You might send a text asking how her day was, and instead of getting a thoughtful response, you get a one-word reply like "fine" or worse, no reply at all. He may even ignore your calls, leave messages unread, or refuse to make plans. The silence becomes a form of punishment. It's her way of saying, "I can't keep investing emotionally in this If you're not doing the same, she's emotionally checked out, but unlike emotional withdrawal, where she might have been actively testing or pulling back, now she's simply disengaging, completely the silent treatment. Or indifference is one of the most powerful tools of emototal detachment, especially when someone feels hurt or abandoned. It's a way for her to protect herself from further disappointment by refusing to engage in an emotionally draining situation. The silence isn't just about not talking. It's a way of asserting control and distancing herself from someone who she perceives as no longer valuing her. It also gives her time to evaluate whether she wants to keep investing in a relationship that seems one-sided from a psychological standpoint. This behavior is rooted in a mix of self-preservation and emotional self-protection. She might feel rejected or hurt by your lack of interest, and as a result, she starts disengaging as a defense mechanism, creating space between herself and the emotional hurt. Why it happens? Self-preservation. She's protecting herself from further emotional hurt. If she feels that you've emotionally checked out, she may pull back to avoid giving you more of herself, knowing it could lead to more disappointment, lost hope if she's tried to communicate and show affection without getting the same response. She may reach a point where she decides it's not worth trying anymore. She becomes indifferent because she doesn't see the point in continuing to fight for someone who isn't fully invested. What you should watch for: indifference or the silent treatment. Is a clear sign that she's disengaged and is no longer emotionally invested in trying to maintain the relationship. If you notice this shift, it's important to act quickly before the emotional distance becomes permanent. The longer the silence continues, the harder it becomes to break through and reconnect. Pause now. If you're sitting there, thinking, I don't care, she's the one who lost interest first, I get it. But